Heyo everybody, Haku here, and it is Maguka time. Time for this week's Magical Girl Raising Project, or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku read-through video. And this is Chapter 6, Negative and Positive. The end of last week, we were fighting the mid-boss dragon. We had Yumenishima make her grand return in order to tackle hug at Nyan into the flames and die. Or maybe not die, tackle hugger into the flames, and presumably get crispified. Then, what else? Oh yeah, then, Melville. Melville pooned the dragon in the neck. Dragon is bleeding, dragon's not having fun, and Clantail is supposed to be leading the charge in there, and I am sketched out by having Best Girl, running in the, front lines. But, yeah. One thing I gotta talk about before I start this is the first thing when I open this up, I see what is the Magical Girl Raising Project Demon Lord Edition, and that tells me one of the 16 has to be the Demon Lord. And I actually discussed with somebody in the comments last week, I forget who it was, I'm sorry, but we were talking back and forth, or maybe, I think it was in the comments at least, but we were talking back and forth about who we thought the Demon Lord might be, because they said something. I was thinking if it wasn't an NPC, I was like, if it's not an NPC, I think that the Demon Lord might be the master herself. Like, she is going to be the final boss, because she's trying to kill them. She's trapped them in this game. So I doubt she would let them out without them having, like, she would ever let them out over her dead body. So they would have to defeat her as the final boss at the end. But then they said, you know, I think what if we know that there's a traitor, maybe that's why they're the traitor. And at first I didn't really like the idea that much, but I think it's really grown on me because, and that's the way it looks like it is right now. But I actually think it's grown on me because that means that every character still gets to stay sympathetic. And it's one thing I talked about before where I was like, I think I talked about in the Haku Q&A where I was like, you know, it's hard to feel bad in the first arc for like Swim Swim or the Peaky Angels because they were such dicks. But this, you can still feel sorry for everyone because whoever the bad guy is, whoever the traitor, the murderer is just trying to survive. They're trying to stay alive and they're presumably going to be killed if they don't take out the other 15. So it could still be a good guy. Who do I think it might be? I think it could be at Nyan or Jenna Psycho. Say it's Jenna Psycho, and she murdered people and murdered Nyan now for whatever reason. Or say it's Nyan. We know that Jenna Psycho and Nyan are friends. Jenna Psycho found out about it, and now Jenna Psycho's sacrificing herself to kill Nyan to save all the rest of the girls from the traitor who is Nyan. I think that could make sense. And where does that leave us at for this chapter? Well, either we're going to continue on and figure this out, or we could actually, something I could see maybe happening is we retell the first 5 chapters in this chapter, but from the point of view of whoever the Demon Lord is, and see them go through and see why and how they killed Cherna Mouse and Masked Wonder. That's a possibility. Just going through some thoughts before I read. I'm sorry if you're bored of me taking too long with this discussion. But that's just some pre-reading discussion. There was one more thing I wanted to bring up that I thought about this. Oh well, either way. And on the side, when I see the different character things to jump to, I see Shadow Gale, Nokko-chan, and Pechika. I could see it maybe being Nokko-chan. I could see it being a real twist and being Nokko-chan. I don't see it being Pechika at all. I'm hoping it's not Shadow Gale. I really like Shadow Gale and Flea. And it doesn't seem like Shadow Gale because she was talking with Flea, trying to figure out who the murderer was. But I really hope those two don't betray each other, because those two I really like as a group, so I like their relationship. I hope they stick together. But either way, let's finally get into reading this. Sorry for the long discussion, but just reading that big bold text at the beginning made me think about what I discussed with that guy, and I was like, okay, I need to give thoughts on this, because it's pertinent to what I'm going to be reading and how I react to it. But either way, let's start going. What is the Magical Girl Raising Project Demon Lord Edition? Intuitive for beginners, satisfying for advanced players. Magical Trace System allows you to feel like you're in real life when playing. High quality graphics, it's on the level of real life. Millions of customizable items, let your creativity shine. Best of all, it's free to play for life. So pretty much all of the rest of the Magical Girl Raising Project games in the canon. Welcome to the Magical Girl Raising Project. Unlike other players, you have a special role. You are the Demon Lord. You're a magical girl like any other. However, you hide amongst the other magical girls as they try to find you. Your goal, to kill the other 15 participants. The reward, 1 million yen. Of course, you'll be rewarded for clearing areas and other events too. Keep your wits about you. You can escape the game if all 15 participants have died. Then you win the game. Good luck and have fun. So yep, whoever it is, it's hard to feel like they're evil. They did kill Cherna, they did kill Masked Wonder, but they're only trying to survive themselves. And survival is kind of one of those key things that if it's your life or these other people you're just now meeting, their lives, it's completely terrible to murder them, but it makes it more understandable and makes the character more savable. Because let's say at the end, they're in a situation where Snow White's finally with them, Snow White's fighting the Master, whatever's going on there. But I could totally see, or they're right at the end of the game or something, I could totally see the Demon Lord just swapping sides, going back to the good guys for a big good guy reveal or something. A big, a redemption scene. I think something like that's possible. But we're starting this out with Detic Bell. Don't stop, advance now. So, and that's the very end what Melville said. Melville's voice pushed the magical girls onward, their bodies and minds no longer thinking. Everyone started moving almost simultaneously. Nokko-chan kept her shield at the dragon, moving toward Yan and Genocyco's position, hitting both of their burning bodies with her mop, washing away the flames. Nokko-chan is just so cute, washing away the flames. Then, in the shade of the shield, she turned on her magical phone, using her healing medicine on the two of them. Detic Bell ran, trying to lure the dragon to her position, both hands grasping on the heavily weighted shield +5, with the water amulet shimmering on her neck. She should be fine with those 2 items, but even after hearing that explanation, her fear wasn't reassured. Ahead, Lapis Lazuli blocked a fireball, though she couldn't fully absorb the shock, so she crouched down on one knee. The flame residue was dancing on the stone pavement. You could feel the heat waves just being near them. Miyakata Nanako ran off to the left side, the dragon spitting out fireballs like crazy. Among those fireballs, one was flying at Detic Bell. She lowered her body, holding her shield 40 degrees from the ground as she kneeled down. She cursed out loud, the edge of her cape, the tips of her ribbons, the hems of her skirt, all of them likely to burn up. She even felt sparks of the flames burning at her hair. The smell of burning flames wiped out the smell of mold in the area. Her skin was burning. Ow, hot, hot, hot. Her left eye, she didn't really know what was going on. She didn't want to open her eyelids. The shade of her shield, she activated her magical phone. In the shade of her shield, she activated her magical phone, using the healing medicine for herself. In the meantime, she desperately prayed that no more attacks would come, since her role was that of a frontliner. Detic Bell, who was a decoy, praying that she won't be attacked is pretty funny. However, reasons and feelings are 2 separate things, as right now, her pain senses were greatly functioning, her survival instincts backed her emotions. She knew that if she received another attack like this, she'd be done for. Someone screamed. While Detic Bell felt like she was about to die, she looked towards them. The girl who could transform her lower body, Clantail, fell down on the floor. The dragon's thick long tail created a large amount of wind and waved. Where Clantail jumped toward the stage, it seemed like the dragon intercepted her with its tail. A harpoon stabbed the tail of the dragon, its scales pierced away, its blood spattering, the red muddy liquid body fluid dropping down to Detic Bell. The dragon that was before just lying down stood up on its 4 legs. It was hurt and angry. Its normally huge body became bigger, just staring into its large golden eyes brought fear. The dragon glared at Melville, but couldn't attack her. Melville was outside the red line. Neither its flames nor its claws could reach her. Melville is such a badass. I like Melville so much, though. The dragon blew flames towards the falling Clantail. Clantail had the dragon-killing dagger. You could say the magical girl's lives depended on whether or not she could land her attack. The dragon didn't attack Melville, who was out of range, but attacked Clantail on purpose. It aimed for her. Belle didn't think it was a coincidence. Was it instinct? No. The dragon's cheeks were moving. Was that a smile? Detic Belle was shocked. The strategy that they would do, all of it had been discussed in this hall, in front of the dragon. Monsters tend to have low intelligence, so they couldn't understand human words. That's what they thought, even though no one could guarantee that. So I do still think somebody's going to come in and save Clantail, since Clantail is their only hope right now. But I think it was interesting how they discussed their strategy right there in front of the dragon, because I didn't think about it either, that the dragon can just understand their strategy that they're discussing right in front of it. So, actually, yeah, that's quite well written. I wasn't expecting that. Okay? Even though I knew their plan wasn't going to go exactly according to plan, because nothing happens that easy. My throat. Either way. At the same time, the flames would strike her. A blue sparkle flew, rolling in front of Clantail. Lapis Lazuli took the brunt of the flame with her shield. The second shot, the third shot as well. Detic Belle ran. The other... Couldn't Lapis just teleport away with her then? Either way, though. The second shot, the third shot as well. Detic Belle ran. The other magical girls hurriedly rushed over, but won't make it in time. Lazaline was blown away by the third shot, rolling backwards until her back hit a wall and stopped. Her hands no longer holding a shield slumped down beside her as her body rested on the wall. The dragon now wanted to unleash that final blow to Clantail, who had fallen behind Lazaline. Its cheeks inflated and stopped. It couldn't see its target. It inflated its cheeks, looking around its surroundings. Clantail was nowhere to be found. Before the dragon could find the target of attack, a harpoon stabbed its throat, and without finding its target, it exhaled flames as it scattered as it hit the red line. Oh my god, fucking Melville is such a badass. I love Melville so much. Also I'm thinking Clantail could confuse it by turning her lower body into a falcon or something maybe, and just flying around. I don't know how that works. Either way, this is really, really fun to read. The dragon arose with its hind legs, barking out, hiding the glimpses of malice and intelligence. Its beastly nature was exposed, shaking the hall with its roars. A crack ran across the stone wall, and a stalagmite collapsed, the rope ladder shaking in the tremors. If you were a normal human, the damage done to your eardrums may give you a concussion. Even as a magical girl, Detic Belle felt like her body was going to crumble. Detic Belle looked up at the standing dragon and saw the ceiling just above it. Something was clinging to the ceiling. Light and gray spots scattered across its body, and a long tail, each of its 5 toes spread out widely, sticking towards the ceiling. A gecko. Certainly. In between a gecko's fingertips were hundreds of thousands of tiny hairs that grew, creating a special force in between objects, as a result causing them to stick. At least that's what she read in some news article. Clantail, who had transformed her lower body into a gecko, was hiding as the dragon roared, jumping from the ceiling above, a dagger held in her right hand. The large barking roars, the great dragon was probably doing it to intimidate enemies and also to inspire itself, and because of the size of its voice, it probably couldn't notice the attack coming from overhead. The dragon stabbed in its brain, sticking for a few seconds, followed by a crash in the ground. Although the dragon should have only been stabbed with a dagger, a large amount of blood spurted out from its head, falling down in a way that made its neck and feet thrash about. Detic Belle's legs were trembling as she ran towards the rock wall where Lazaline wasn't moving. That was a damn good fight. From Lazaline protecting her, to the final blow there, to Melville coming in with the tail shot and the throat shot with the harpoons. Damn, Melville is so badass. Clantail is also really cool, but damn, Melville is so badass. That was really, really cool. Okay. Now then. After 2 hours, a gust of wind stroked the burning, smelled halls. If you looked upwards, you could see a light pouring through. Seems the wind was blowing from there. Until a while ago, the smell of blood had disappeared. Not because it was blown away by the wind, but because the source of the blood smell, the great dragon's corpse, had disappeared. After a monster has been defeated, its body will disappear after a period of time. The dragon disappeared. The dragon's dried blood disappeared as well. Only the burning smell remained. Even if a monster's corpse has disappeared, the corpse of players will never disappear. The hollow rock walls, the spreading cobblestone floor, the red curves drawn on the stone pavement, its distance from the center about 20 meters in diameter, and above it a rope ladder leading towards a hole. They investigated everywhere they could. No other suspicious places existed other than the floors and the walls. Dedek Bell sighed. She even investigated the corpses of the magical girls. Just looking at them made her sad. But she used all the knowledge she had, and although it wasn't a good autopsy, she investigated anyways. Okay, so I guess the two did die then? With, I guess, even though she used the medicine, Genocyco and, what is it? Genocyco and Nyan did get crisped. I'll continue on. Hold on, my nose itches. With a 15-meter gigantic creature inside, there was still room in this wide hall. She heard footsteps. They gradually increased until they stopped. How is it? Flare riding Shadowgale asked calmly. It's no use, Dedek Bell shook her head repeatedly. At Nyan was killed by Genocyco's hands. The direct cause of death was the great dragon's fireball, but it was obvious that Genocyco had provoked that attack. The girl at the end of the row was at Nyan, and she couldn't ask her any more questions. The girl at the second from last was Nokko-chan, and when asked, she said she looked behind her several times, but didn't notice anyone following them. It seems everything had gone according to plan just now. If they were being followed by her, then perhaps she heard Flez's explanation. Those crossing the red line will be mercilessly burned by the dragon's flames. Okay, hold on. There's a blank page here. Is that supposed to be a picture loading? If so, okay, never mind. Here's a picture, next page. Okay. Okay, so we see Dedek fled Shadowgale. Shadowgale's so cute. Okay, just taking this in for a minute. Alright. Got it then. So, did Genocyco not die then? Either way, its power was enough to make a large stone disappear without any trace, and as Rionetta said, became a black stain. Using Yamenashima Genocyco's magic, her invincible suit with her visor down, it was said she could jump in and out of a lake of magma calmly, but she somehow raised her visor up, causing her to be charred black to the core. If Nyan's condition was like a grilled kamakura steak, Genocyco's was like charcoal. Even traces of her limbs seemed to be completely carbonized. The reason Nyan was in a... Hang on a moment. So what if Genocyco... Hold on. What if Genocyco is the Demon King, but the Demon King gets multiple lives or something, and that's why she isn't afraid to die? Like, that's why she survived, or maybe the Demon King regenerates or something. Maybe that's why she survived the attack from Akane, or maybe she did die from that and it used up one of her lives, and maybe this is using up another of her lives. Interesting, though. I'll continue on. The reason Nyan was in a better state was probably because she had the fire-resistant water amulet equipped. Nyan was burnt without any shield equipped, yet the water amulet was still effective. Meaning Genocyco had no equipment for the flames. Raising her visor without protecting herself with absolutely no equipment, she jumped into Nyan and caused them to get baked. Completely prepared from the beginning, she preferred double suicide than to attack. Melville's group were witnesses that Genocyco left a message indicating the existence of a traitor. That message was even confirmed by Dedek Bell. Did Genocyco want to tell them that the traitor was at Nyan? Somehow Genocyco knew that Nyan was a traitor, and in order to stop her, or maybe it was for revenge, she killed her. And again, that was something I said at the beginning. That could be true as well. That Nyan was the traitor, Genocyco knew, so Genocyco killed her because of that. Flesh scooped up her bangs while looking at the stage. When she touched the bangs, her elbow hit the back of Shadowgale's head. Shadowgale let out a tiny groan. It seems there's nothing more we can gain from this investigation, is there? Dedek Bell looked up at Fla because she raised her bangs. You could see her eye patch in full view. It was an elegant and cute small bird, but also looked a bit ridiculous. I intend to investigate everything I can investigate. I see. Thank you, Detikbel. Then, I'll let you do one more. Flem moved her eye from the stage to the hole above the stage. From there, two were climbing down. Among the noises there was Lapis Lazuli. She should have been the most injured among all of them, but after healing up, she was talking a lot as usual. The one following her was Nokko-chan. She was chatting with Lazuli, not to strike a conversation, but because she was slightly sad. Belle thought that it was normal for Nokko-chan to feel down. It's natural. Belle thought that it was natural for Lazuli to be noisy. She became a shield for Clantail and suffered serious injuries. If she had received a direct blow, she would have been dead, but like someone who was blissfully ignorant, she continued to chatter. Do you think you could help bury those two? That voice urged her to finish up her investigation, and Belle looked back. Detikbel looked up at Flef for a while and silently nodded. Okay, let me get some water before we move to Nokko-chan. That was a damn good scene. That was so good. Okay, let's move along. Let me see what my recording looks like. Looks fine. Nokko-chan. Leaving behind any self-boasting magical girls, no one complained when Nokko-chan wanted to dig up graves. They felt sorry. She were scarred. They all saw the poor sight in front of them. Clantail approached silently. Clantail took out something from her magical phone and faced Nokko-chan. The phone rang. Here, use it. Because of her small voice, it was difficult to understand. Perhaps she was transferring something out of kindness. In Nokko-chan's magical phone, she saw the name of a shovel displayed on screen. She used the shovel to dig a hole and sprinkled dirt on the bodies. Remembering Daisy's death, she's helped out with multiple burials. Now, the shovel that someone had received from the R item was given to her. With that Nyan, she could do some huge work, digging holes for 5 people. Since I'm the strongest, I'll dig the holes, Kay? Lazuli said those words, probably because she thought Nokko-chan was in pain. At Nyan, Genocycle, 2 of her friends had been killed, so she may have felt care for Nokko-chan, who was now all alone. No, I'll do it. Lazuli and I can take care of it, it's okay. Nokko-chan even shook her head when Detikbel chimed in. I want to do it, I'm sorry, but I'd be fine if you just put the headstones. The shovel pierced the ground. In the hard wasteland, the act of digging a hole for one person would take about half a day's work if a human did it. However, for Nokko-chan, although she was physically inferior, she still had a magical girl's power. Shunk, shunk, shunk. She dug away as hard as she could, and the soil being dug up by the hole began to accumulate. Dug by the hole. Nokko-chan saw the edge of the shovel. It wasn't dull, it wasn't bent or broken, it was sturdy, able to bear a magical girl's strength. Looking at Nyan-Nyan's body, her state was hard to look at. Genocyco's corpse was terrible and difficult to recognize. Lazuli didn't want Nokko-chan to dig up the graves, probably because she didn't want her to see these corpses. After filling it in, she hit the ground to make a burial mound. Lazuli and Detikbel gathered a stone and placed it on that mound, a replacement for a proper gravestone outside the wasteland town. 6 gravestones were lined up. How much more will it grow? She cancelled that thought the moment she thought of it. Nokko-chan stabbed down the shovel, wiping her forehead with the back of her palms and looking away. The sun was shining harshly. Every day was always the same harshness. Lazuli crouched down in front of the graves, placing her hands together. Made it in time to say our prayers, yeah? Nokko-chan also squatted down, placing both her hands together. Now we're going to Shadowgale. From the middle of the stage she was able to see the whole passageway. A while ago, Detikbel was investigating, now she's left. She joined the other magical girls in the newly opened area. They should be searching in the next area by now. The hallway where nobody was. Shadowgale felt terribly lonely. Before the other magical girls arrived, the great dragon must have constantly been looking at this site. If it's a monster from the game, then it's only a chunk of data. Yet she still empathized with it, which she thought was stupid. Still, Shadowgale wouldn't want to have the role it had. You're thinking about sentimental feelings now, aren't you? When she heard a voice whispering in her ear, she snapped awake. "It's nothing bad. You stop thinking about the great dragon right now. I told you to stop reading my mind. We've known each other for a long time, right? If it's your heart, Momori, I can read you like an open book. For example, Momori, you think I smell like an old man, right? I don't think you smell like an old man." "Really? But you were so worried when I sat on your chair in your room. The chair you bought with your pocket money and colored and decorated screams youthful vigor and refinement, but it does rather smell old. I just added some extra care. It seems like you felt sympathy for the great dragon. From here, you couldn't believe if you couldn't fulfill your orders." Her voice tone declined by one step. Because of the way she's being carried, there was no way for Momori to see her expression. But it seemed she was being serious. "What are you going to order?" "Nothing too annoying or dangerous, just work. The first step is to climb the rope ladder out of here." She followed Fle's instructions to go up the ladder. It was the entrance to the next area. Climbing up and down the ladder as someone carrying another person was a lot of hard work, and could cause a normal human to fall. Shadowgale had been tormented many times today. She thought being a magical girl was a good thing, but because she was a magical girl, she felt like she was being used. Climbing up the rope ladder, they crawled out of the hole. From there they saw a vast spreading water surface. On the right is a rock ledge. On the left is a rock wall. Everywhere is natural, nothing was artificial. Furthermore, surrounding them was a huge lake about 1 kilometer in diameter. The hole ended at its shore. It was approximately 10 meters from the ceiling, with a forest of stalagmites. Compared to the lower hall, the size wasn't as high. Everything was stained green. The water in the lake was slightly blue. It was colder than the underground, with a refreshing feeling, unanimously filled with air. Mystical and wondrous were the words you could use to describe this sight. It was the only way to connect the areas with the areas. Excessive details filled it. While Shadowgale received that impression, her sentimental feelings began to unfold. She stopped dwelling and moved her legs. Fortunately, no monsters appeared, because the gate dividing the areas was nearby. Because of the moisture of the lake, moss grew on the rocks. The lake water, it seemed to be pretty clear, yet she still couldn't see what was inside of it. They took a detour around it, placing their hands on the hollow rock wall, half turning in a clockwise direction. The floor was somewhere where only one person's hand could touch it. It was a hollowed-out staircase, continuing on upwards. They kept walking until they reached a thick wooden door on the top. After opening it, they finally reached the next area, the library area. In the bookshelves were closely packed books lined side by side from one end of the horizon to the other. The same is true for the other side. Wasteland, grassy, mountain, urban, underground, and now for some reason a library. Shadowgale lowered Fla on a chair. She also sat... Oh, so they have a chair now. She also sat across the table on the other side. She felt comfortable at last, and began looking around. It was neither mold-smelling, tedious, nor did it have any sunlight, 3 things that were key to the underground area. Chairs that would hurt your butt if you sat there a long time, long tables that could break if you hit it, floorboards that would likely come off if you ran on them. Just walking on them produces creaking noises. If you look at the ceiling, the panels were arranged diagonally, probably trying to reproduce the traces of poor repairs. Like a game, it seems to have the same repair marks arranged over and over. This was the second time she was here, but no matter how many times she came here, it always seemed to be covered with dust. When she first came here, Flesh shouted "amazing" and picked up a book, but all the books had blank contents in them. Whether you sprinkled water, dropped chemicals, burnt it, or just smelled it, it was confirmed to be just blank pieces of paper. Afterward, she didn't touch any other books. Well, we've confirmed it. Let's look at our item picture book. Even if other parties have bought it, it's still useful. Let's see what items we can buy in this area's shop. A magical carpet. As promised, it was able to fly in the air. Its maximum load is about 1 adult male. Its max speed is about as fast as an average adult male's running speed. Depending on the area, the game world can be of varying width. The width from one end of the wasteland area to the other is about 300 kilometers. A magical girl's basic movement is running, and the speed of an adult male running is not the same speed as a basic vehicle. Other than Fle's wheelchair, no magical girl needs any vehicles. Holy Amulet. It was the same type of amulet that they bought in the underground area, giving whoever equips it the holy attribute, protecting them from evil attribute monsters, and similarly increasing their attacks against them. Based on the monster picture book, the monsters that appear here are demons and spirits. Because of that, it became an essential item. Weapon plus 7. Oh shit, we about to have Mop plus 7 up in here. It's getting more powerful. Weapon plus 7. Needless to say, it was an improvement on the weapon plus 5. It was easier to use, rugged, and had stronger powers than the plus 5s. However, the price is ridiculous. They could finally buy one after killing 100 dragons of the same size. Because a lot of the players are buying it, a lot of magical candies were lost. Shield plus 7. Some magical girls have prioritized buying this over the weapon, excluding magical girls who were suited for shields, for example Clantail. Until now, there were no other magical girls who were commonly equipped with shields. Why? Because it's not beautiful. To a kish and pretty magical girl, a huge shield wasn't well suited to them. It was a waste, it was a hindrance, and it was hard to move. Still, magical girls were still cute. However, in theory, the magical girls know that there was a practical reason. Shields prevented enemy attacks and would also extend their lifespan. Fle slid the item picture book. That's enough for the items sold at the shops. Continuing on, let's see the R items that have been gotten so far. The random items that were purchased with the R item always needed to be paid with 100 candies at a time. Speaking of items that they got, the selling price for the map was only 3 candies. Other than that, the items were pretty hard to get. Every time Fle and Shadowgale received a mission clear reward, they'd buy R items several times. They've gotten several items that weren't maps. A dentistry set containing a very ordinary cup and toothbrush, and some toothpaste. A rubber bow and arrow, which has a toy bow with an arrow that sticks to where you shoot it at. A rope, which is just a climbing rope whose length is about 30 meters. Ha ha ha. Outstanding how there are only mundane daily things. As Fle said, there are only things that they didn't think would help them. The maximum number for them is small, 1 out of 1 apparently. Even if it's a rare item, it's still an everyday item. The items that Fle's team didn't have were things like pots, dishware, shovels, and as far as the details go, they really were everyday items. There were many columns in the R item category that were unfilled, and perhaps maybe they were all everyday items. Still, this one's interesting, don't you think? Start Location Changer, a single application able to select a player's starting area from one out of the current available or the current movable areas. In summary, you could choose wherever area you want to start the game. Perhaps it'll be worthwhile to save traveling time like passages and maps. It's a shared item among one party. An interesting one, am I right? The Start Location Changer is simple but useful, but it really was simple. While it can save time, it'll only save time about once every 3 days. Fle slid the item column. The last event item that they got was on display, the Dragon Shield, the Great Dragon's drop item, equal to a shield plus 12. Just before challenging the Great Dragon, it looked like Fle was obsessed with the rewards. It seemed like she wanted both the candies and the cash rewards. Nobody listened, so she only settled for the drop item. The candies and cash were divided equally. Shadowgale knew that Fle, Konoe Hitokoji, was acting very unnatural. Konoe wasn't obsessed with candies. There's no reason for her to want millions in cash. That greed. It seems like she wanted a way to naturally get the drop item. She could do that if she used a small technique like before. This is our key item. Is that so? From all their collected candies, they were finally able to get the shield. That's over 5 times higher than the current level. Given the strength of the Great Dragon, this could just be the strongest shield in the game. Right then, so our next strategy after this. Before we do that, I'd like to ask a question. If you wanted to do something, do it silently, and once you've completed it, you can proudly explain what you've done. That was the way of describing Fle. If you needed to hear something, you better hear it now, Once everything is over, it'll feel like a half-boast. Fleur raised her right elbow. Go ahead, she said as she raised it. So, Nyan Nyan really was the traitor, at least according to what Genocycle thought. If that's true, she didn't have to kill herself. You think differently, my lady. What was Genocycle's intention? Fleur placed her magical phone on the desk. Calling out the item picture book, she slid it several times until she reached the Miracle Coin's description page. The distribution value was displayed as 1-1. Nyan Nyan didn't steal the Miracle Coin. All of her scrolls were burnt. Her magical phone was also disabled. If she was the one who robbed it, then the distribution value should be back to 0, meaning that Masked Wonder's killer was still one of the big players in the game. One more thing, if that's okay. What is it? In order to beat the Great Dragon, is it necessary to gather everyone so far? Shadowgale placed her hands on her knees, watching Fleur slightly. Fleur placed her right elbow on the desk, supporting her head with her right hand, looking back at Shadowgale. She was confident. Even though she just survived from the jaws of death, Fleur was calm and composed. Did you forget that death battle? We were only able to win because we gathered everyone's powers, no? Shadowgale didn't deny that it was a death battle. Aside from Nyan Nyan and Genocycle, it was still not amusing that people had to be sacrificed. Still, did they really need that many people? After the Great Dragon was defeated, Shadowgale thought of a safer way to clear it with less people. She didn't think Fleur hadn't considered it. Furthermore, Fleur's attitude was also strange. In middle school during dodgeball, even when she got hit in the face and got nosebleeds from the ball, she'd calmly say, "It's the face safe rule, right?" Just the other day, she made plenty of preparations only to be defeated by Chernomouse in battle, and even though she lost her wheelchair, she simply praised her opponent, saying, "Your magic really is amazing," while riding on Shadowgale's back. Konoe is, even if she's making mistakes, she's not doing anything to fix them, as if they weren't failures at all, and to everyone else they just assumed, well, you win some, you lose some, and misunderstood. This time, even the Great Dragon extermination plan was close to failing. Although they did manage to fulfill the purpose of defeating the dragon, excusing Genocycle's special case, Nyan Nyan was sacrificed for almost no reason. Fleur didn't consider that sacrifice was a problem. This was different from the usual strength, vanity, or disposition. Even if you changed the words around, it still didn't work. Yet it didn't make Shadowgale feel different. She was uncomfortable. So Fleur's acting weird, and if Fleur's acting weird to Shadowgale who lived with her, is Fleur the traitor and planned this all? Put more people in danger? Let me grab some water. Or maybe she brought them all together to see if any of them would try to sabotage the battle. That's a possibility. Shadowgale thought of something. Fleur was expecting something. Regardless of how Genocycle and Nyan Nyan's situations would have turned out, she predicted that someone would cause something, so she gathered everyone, making it so that whoever was going to cause something won't have an easy time doing it. Fleur said that she would look for someone who was the culprit. If there's someone who was causing things to happen, then that would be big information for her, so she arranged a way to cause that big information to come. Even when she announced the killing of Masked Wonder to the public, she shouldn't have said it during such a messy moment, should she? Shouldn't she wait until everyone settled down? She knew she was going to make a fuss. Rather, in order to see everyone's reactions during such a stressful time, she purposefully timed it so that she dropped that bomb of an announcement there. If what Shadowgale thought was true, then one of the causes of Nyan Nyan's death was Fleur. Causing a fuss in order to see someone's reactions, it's impossible to do that unless you're a wicked person. There's no other way to perform that, but Fleur is a wicked person. She was willing to do anything. Shadowgale once again gazed at Fleur quietly. It was always the same. She could never tell what she was thinking with her expressions. Without being conscious of Shadowgale's inner feelings, Fleur opened her mouth. "I've got one good idea." "What is it?" "We're going to dissolve our party." Shadowgale slid both her hands off her knees while looking at Fleur with full force. Fleur's cheeks were smiling joyfully. "And now we're going to Petya." Yeah, disbanding the party, whatever. I don't know why they don't why they're all scattered so much now that so many people are dead. They should just team up a bit more. But now we're moving to Pechka. Let's see, what page are we at? 18? Okay. Time are we at? Like 40 minutes? Oh well, this is going to be a long video. Pechka. The next area that had been closed off for the longest time was the library area. In the library area, the damp grounds and disgusting smells were nothing but a memory. However, until now, wasteland, grassland, mountain, urban, underground, they really had no sense or meaning to it. Violence was not suitable in a library. The purpose of this building was to sate your knowledgeable appetite and wisdom. In essence, knowledge is prioritized. Obviously, violence, which was on the opposite spectrum, was not needed. Running in the hallways is a certain kind of violent behavior, wasn't it? Clantail wasn't familiar at all with the library area. The library was old-fashioned, smells of dust, and is actually dusty. That even the smallest hint of sudden movements can make dust rise. It was also run down, shabby, because having the body of a horse would make the floorboards break if she ran. When she entered the library, she transformed into a relatively smaller-sized creature. In the beginning she was a pony, but since she knew how difficult it is to battle as a four-legged creature in a small place, she would then transform into a big monkey. A monkey was much closer to a human than a quadruped was, but it was still a beast, so she looked rather terrifying being near human. Pechka really did think Clantail was cuter as a deer or pony. The library area had something distinct that no areas until now had. The first was the monster's behavior, and the other was due to the characteristics of the area. Okay? Black fog clumps, scattered by the assault of Nako's dragon. The demons took the form of black lions and attacked Pechka. She desperately equipped her shield +7, surpassing 3 attacks, before quickly sitting down on a chair. The lion saw Pechka sit down on a chair and stopped attacking. They took a chance at that unexpected behavior, with Clantail thrusting her spear through the body of the lion. Although the lion managed to slash her shoulder, Clantail's lower monkey half managed to skewer it, and after a few convulsions it scattered. Rionetta extended her arm joints to her limits and ripped away some flying demons, while Miyakata Nanako's dragons sliced apart the demons as she thrust her gohei towards them. A wide variety of monsters appeared in the library area, or at least they originally thought so. According to the monster picture book, they were wrong. The library area only contains 3 kinds of monsters. Why was there a misunderstanding? Because the library area monsters can change their forms. Cutting out the darkness itself, it's said to be like a black angel that's needed. This was its basic form. The monsters' names were Demon and Devil, and would change to a variety of animals: lions, leopards, hippos, eagles, elephants, and even the dragons that they met underground. The fact that it's an animal wasn't the threat. Even if it's Pechka, she can actually fight animals. A magical girl's speed, power, and stamina were far beyond wild beasts. The problem wasn't that it changed into beasts, it was that in order to compete with the magical girl's speed, power, and stamina, they changed according to their situation. Using an item that gave them compatible attribute to increase their attack and defense, the Holy Amulet, the +7 weapons, and cooperation with their friends, they were able to proceed through the first battle. With names like Demon and Devil, they were clearly supposed to be different species, but trying to find their differences, the candy drops and shape-shifting ability were the same. It was Miyakata Nanako that first noticed their differences. Oh, if you look closely, their hairstyle is different. Demons have their hair stroked inside, devils have hair hanging outside. Their entire body was black, and rather than hair it was more like that thing that corresponds to hair. It was a little hard to explain. Other than demons or devils, there were also spirits that appeared. It was absent, like a black fog. If you looked closely, its figure resembled a woman. Even if you punch it or kick it, it'll simply pass through. Not just attacks, but the floor and ceiling, the long desks, the bookshelves. It passed through everything, yet you'd still get hurt if that spirit decided to attack you. A one-sided attacking enemy, or at least without the Holy Amulet. By equipping the Holy Amulet, it was now possible to make direct contact with the spirit. It's now possible to give it damage. You could also now give sound or light-based damage to it, but since Petchka's group didn't know anyone who could attack in that method, they just used the obvious methods. Since the spirits were no longer that strong when they used the holy amulet, Miyakata Nanako's pet ignored it, and the magical girls dealt with the demons and devils. Okay. Petchka was devoted to defense. This has now become her basic style. Safe spots do exist. They're a big feature of the library area. To be exact, if you sit on one of the chairs, then the enemies won't attack you. If you're ever in danger, you'll only need to sit in a chair to be safe from attacks. This was very pleasant for magical girls without a high combat ability. When moving before fighting, they'd check if there's a chair in the vicinity. It didn't just become Petchka's habit, but everyone else's too. Oh, so, kind of, hold on, let me read this last paragraph. Compared to the other areas until now, it felt nice to be able to enjoy a relaxing meal if they all sat in a chair. They can forget about their vigilance to their surroundings and immerse themselves in a nice meal. So basically, Fleck could just have her wheelchair back and not be attacked any at all. Okay, moving along. Petchka prepared a pot which she had stuffed with stones and rocks from the underground area. After 5 minutes in her palms, it became a delicious dish. Today's menu is hashed beef. But hey, those demons! Clantail's got it covered, transforming and all that. While Miyakata Nanako spoke out loud, Petchka didn't say what she was thinking in her head. When she looked at Clantail, she was silently moving her spoon. Right now, Clantail had a monkey form from the neck down, with a girl's body above. She looked terrifying from behind. She overlooked her surroundings more than she would as a horse. The sense of pressure also rose in proportion. Basically, during mealtime, the air current flowed at roughly the same height. Only Clantail was taller, and so the air current flew there, which was interesting. The scent of the cooking that Petchka made herself was very anxious. You know, when I first saw you, Clantail, I thought, oh, I could turn her into one of my pets. But then I found out you were a magical girl. You're just like those demons, huh? Wouldn't it be rude to call her the same as those demons? Rianetta didn't chide her. She was too excited eating her hashed beef. Petchka glanced over at Clantail. She couldn't see her emotions. Nothing corresponded to a horse's tail. A giant ape would put both its hands on its knees when they're sitting. 2 chairs were placed side by side. Since she had to sit on 2 chairs to account for her large posterior, too thick for a large posterior, the chair should have been broken by now. Since those demons transformed into animals, I thought I could befriend them, but I can't. Unfortunately, they're just monsters. Besides Nako, on a 3-legged chair, her dragon was chomping on its hashed beef. If she befriended that demon, that dragon was destined to pay with its life, at least according to its master, though the way she said it was always very calmly. Being treated the same as a monster, Clantail showed no anger or sorrow. She only silently ate her hashed beef and placed her spoon when she finished, then clapped her hands together. Thank you for the meal. Good taste. Lovely as always, Petchka. Even if I can smell the sweat we have from our battles, I care not because of this. Being praised by everyone, Petchka pulled on the feather on her hat with a smile. She wasn't used to being praised so much. She was happy. After mealtime, when they were able to get back to work, their magical phone's ringtone sounded again. Another event is about to begin. All players, please proceed to the wasteland town. Also, I just realized, I think that Petchka, where we were trying to argue if the thing in Petchka's back was a rooster tail or if it was part of her costume, I think it is part of her costume. Because remember, she goes to see Nina Miyakun in her Petchka form. So, either when she goes to see Nina Mia, she's hiding the rooster tail, or it's just a part of the costume and not an actual tail. Okay. But a lot of them in their designs have tails that this hasn't mentioned at all. Like, I don't think it's mentioned Shadowgale's tail at all. It hasn't mentioned Detic Bell's tail at all. So a lot of them have tails that aren't mentioned. Continuing on, Petchka was in a strangely happy mood. Rianetta's usual remarks didn't really bring down her smile. Nako was also bright. Clantail also didn't feel impatient, probably because there was no way to express her irritation without her hooves. Yumenashima Genosaiko's incident at the Great Dragon Hall with that Nyan was a shock, but considering the reasons, the shockingness was diminished. It was said that Genosaiko showed her face to Detic Bell's party in order to give them a message that there was a traitor, and then this time Genosaiko took At Nyan with her using the dragon's flames. Thinking logically, then At Nyan was the traitor, but does that mean Genosaiko was punishing her? You can't be killed in this game even if you can be killed in this game if you make even one mistake. That reality hasn't changed at all, and yet she was feeling at ease with the elimination of the supposed traitor, and how the library's area monsters weren't that strong. On the contrary, they dropped a lot of candies. Apparently because the next area should be the final battle area. Man, already at the final battle area. They discovered a message in the library area that said the next area is the Demon Lord's Castle. The Demon Lord's Castle means there's a Demon Lord. The Demon Lord means it's the final stage, because the purpose of the game was to defeat the Demon Lord. It made her feel easy knowing her goal is close. A marathon can be fun if you know how close you are to your goal, compared to if you don't know where you're running to. Grabbing some water at this scene break. Okay. Sorry, my voice is like really dying. I'm getting really raspy. Okay. In the Wasteland area's town square, it was announced that the maintenance event has begun, and last time the one with the least magical candies died, it was unreasonable and cruel, but this time it wasn't so unreasonable and cruel. Everyone was playing a rock-paper-scissors tournament, and the winner gets 1,000 candies, a flamboyant, peaceful, and commonplace event. Still, 1,000 candies is significant. The only way you could get it is if you defeated 10 spirits. You may have noticed it, but this area's shop items contain only expensive items bone. You won't have enough candies to get the items you want. That kind of thing happens a lot, Pone. Yet, those items only have a small distribution number of 1 or 2 Pone. It's small, but requires a lot of candies, so if you want to get it before the other players, you should work hard for it, Pone. She took in a deep breath. Phew, she breathed out. I think it's better if you peacefully decide who gets the items, Pone, added Fall. In the rock-paper-scissors tournament, after a fierce battle with Lazaline being her final opponent, Fle won. It appears there's a shop in the Demon Lord's castle. Okay, but they only sell high-priced items. Let's leave Clantail Spear as a +5 item. If we sell it for the higher value item in the next area, we'll be at a price loss. Yeah, when we open the next area, I think it's a good idea to find the town as soon as possible, maybe? Agreed. Did you hear what Fall said? First one who buys wins, so it seems. While discussing the next area with her party members, they looked at the other parties. After Shadowgale hurriedly looked for an open space, Fle was watching over her on a flying carpet. The two seemed to be taking separate actions. Melville had disappeared before they knew it. This was an independent action. Detic Bell was talking to Fle, Lapis Lazuli, and Nokko-chan, all gathering to talk about something. After At Nyan and Genosaiko's death, Nokko-chan, who had no party anymore, seemed to be incorporated into theirs, although she was in no position to worry about anyone. Petchka was thinking about Nokko-chan and was relieved that a party was willing to accept her. Okay. Nokko-chan looked like a magical girl who you would see and go, I have to protect you. Okay, same thing that Daisy said. It was reasonable from Petchka's point of view. If she was all alone, then Petchka had to help her, is what she thought. It's a lot better if she had friends with her. Petchka stroked her chest. However, Fle, Lazaline, Detic Bell, Nokko-chan, it was a 4-member party. Shadowgale wasn't a part of it. Shadowgale wasn't a part of it. She would be in a completely different party. There seemed to be a party restructuring going on without Petchka knowing it. So those 4 are together, and I guess that means either Shadowgale is alone, or Shadowgale is with, Melville. Petchka moved her eyes from looking outside to looking within her own party. Rianetta and Miyakata Nanako were talking. Clantail nodded. The only ones who had their starting party intact was Petchka's group. She felt that was a selfish reason. Someone who didn't talk too much would die, and someone who didn't have the same conviction of clearing areas as her party members would die differently. She became their ally through a rocky start, but was now an important friend. Neither Clantail Rionetta nor Miyakata Nanako wanted her to die. Petchka grasped her thumb with her palms and held on tightly. Okay, page 25. How's the recording looking? Looks fine. And we're back to Nokko-chan. Nokko-chan. Returning to reality from the game, her daily life was back. Even though she felt like it's been 3 days, it's completely different. Noriko placed her school bags in the house as soon as she got home. From there she went straight to the hospital. It's fine if she goes to the hospital straight from school, but if she had a backpack on her, her mother would make a worried face. Placing her school bags, preparing a change of clothes for her mother and her daily necessities, money and other necessary things with that in tow, it was efficient to then go to the hospital. Along the way on the road, if she saw anyone with a dark face on them, she'd use her magic on them. Originally, to use her magic, she'd have to transform into a magical girl, meaning she couldn't use her magic on a daily basis, but Noriko knew how to use her magic in daily life. Perhaps it was a method that could only be used by Noriko nowadays. Okay, so Nokko-chan gained the ability to do what Snow White was able to do with Hardcore Alice, where she was able to tell Hardcore Alice's thoughts, even when she wasn't in magical girl form. Nokko-chan's appearance was about 10 years old. Nokko-chan's actual age is 10 years old. Since her age is close, they look very much alike. No wonder they look the same. Of course, she'd change her clothes to casual wear and made her hairstyle the same, dyeing her hair black, using accessories in her facial wear. Furthermore, she can use her magic to make everyone strongly believe she's Noriko no Nohara, and spread that to her surroundings. In this way, she can transform into a magical girl in her daily life, and whether she's in a lesson or on her way to school, she can always use her magic as she grows up. She can always use her magic. As she grows up, she doesn't know if this method could continue to be used, but she'll use it while she can. In her daily life, the amount of time she can use her magic has increased dramatically. That's due to her training. A magical girl's magical skill, in its essence, doesn't change for a lifetime, but it can become stronger. Shorter preparation times, an increase in power and range, a wider range of effect, being able to do more than you could yesterday. It's not just enough to become a magical girl. The real performance comes after becoming a magical girl. Those were the thankful words that her seniors had left her before they left her. And those words were kept in Nokko-chan's heart. In her daily life, she also did training repetitions. If it was motivated by her emotions, there seems to be a case of rapid growth for magic. Like a shonen manga's way of life, it was a disproportionate aim to realize. Training every day, little by little, Nokko-chan was like a person who would stack small stones into a mountain. She made a complaint to the city's largest medical facility, which was extremely huge. Though it's not a shop, there were convenience stores within the premises, a barber shop, an authentic restaurant, this and more, a home appliance depot and a bookstore, and surprisingly a cake shop. On the hospital's terrace, whose names were far too long to remember, where she would sometimes eat French cake with her mother. Doctors and nurses, greeting smiles to the hospital patients, sometimes using her magic, knocking on the door to her mother's room. "Come in," said her reply as she opened the door. The examination time was over. She returned to her hospital room, reading a book with about 15 pages. She always tried to talk about how much fun school was while peeling off apples for her. Noriko's been doing the housework for 2.5 years. This was easy. "Hey, Noriko, what is it? If there's something wrong, you should tell me, okay?" Without thinking, she gripped her hands. Her mother had almost recovered from the worst case. Her cheeks were getting plump. Still, she was thinner than before she got sick, and her pupils were big. Her eyes were staring at Noriko. "Yeah, if there's anything that happens, I'll let you know." Though she tried to say nothing was wrong, her mother was still watching Noriko. Ever since she entered the hospital room today, she's tried to recall. Was she acting differently from usual? Why was her mom suddenly worried? It might just be how she acted, so her mother found it suspicious. Noriko indulged herself, Thinking of as much fun thoughts as possible, she'll spread it to her mother, trying to wipe away her worries. Fun, happiness, that's all she needed. She didn't want her sick mother to be worried. Happily saying their goodbyes while walking on the linoleum floors, Nokko-chan was thinking. There was no doubt that she was currently in danger, but her mother didn't need to know that. She couldn't let her worry any further. Noriko saw why the reason for the maintenance period, why she had 3 days to return to reality. The repetition of the games in your daily life was because they were attached together. They couldn't just forget their real lives in the games while they're off doing heroic things. Real life was also important, and the people you have are also important to remember. And yet, Genocycle and Atnyanyan, despite being companions, ended up dying. She didn't understand why that happened. Furthermore, when thinking about Genocycle's original nature and affection, it didn't make sense. It didn't seem like Genocycle's character to choose that way of death, right? Nokko-chan's magic worked on a person's feelings. Because she moved a person's feelings, she was always concerned about a person's personality, always observing the people surrounding her. She always analyzing. It didn't change, even in the game. That personality that Genocycle showed the personality that Genocycle showed was that of a bright and fun otaku. Her hidden nature, according to what Noriko read, was a slight air of arrogance, somewhat lazy, magnanimous, and whenever she was absolutely safe in her suit, she'd always talk freely. It almost seemed as if she was looking down on people from above. Because she felt safe, regardless of any crisis, that's why she was sliced and killed. She wasn't the kind to put her visor up and jump towards her death. That Genocycle was only shown whenever she was safe. It was because of that absolute safety that her personality above was created. Maybe it was because her safety was taken away when she pulled her visor down. She was still sliced and knocked down, so her personality could have also changed that way, couldn't it? Suddenly, Noriko looked at her own circumstances. 3 people in the family. No matter what happens, they'll live on by working together. But when her mother collapsed, her father left. She thought about her own self before her father left, and she's changed a lot since then. Maybe Genocycle also felt the same when she felt the shock of her face being sliced in half. The big-hearted magical girl changed to a hysterical magical girl who would die with her companion. So pretty much, Nokko-chan is a 10-year-old living alone. Poor Nokko-chan. It wasn't like Atnyanyan, and I guess she's been doing it for like 2 years now, I guess. Okay? It wasn't like Atnyanyan wasn't suspicious. She knew something. Perhaps that was the reason she was pushed off the edge. Now nobody knows why Genocycle and Atnyanyan died. Her original party's all gone. Now Nokko-chan was all alone. But fortunately, she's entered Detic Bell and Lazaline's party. From a magical girl's point of view in nature, when someone's in trouble, even if they themselves are in trouble, will extend a helping hand. Nokko-chan was good at making herself look like she's in trouble. Indeed, she's never been in trouble since the start of the game. Detic Bell and Lazaline invited her out of kindness. However, she had to be careful around Flea. Although she told her that Shadowgale and I have a difference in opinion, so we're separating for now, it didn't look like she was serious. When Atnyanyan died, when Cherna Mouse died, when the Samurai Magical Girl died, she always took the initiative to lead everyone. Noriko couldn't be careless. So yeah, Flea looking a little suspicious, I guess. And after they left the game world, Nokko-chan was in trouble when she returned as Noriko no Nohara. She was in distress. For economic reasons, though. When she returned home, she looked at her passbook and found 100,000 yen deposited in it. It was the area clearing mission reward given after killing the dragon. Because it was 10 people, they tentatively divided it into 100,000 yen each. Seems like they didn't count Atnyanyan, who died before the battle. 100,000 yen was pleasing. She was happy with that. She was happy, but it wasn't enough. She needed more money. Nokko-chan also seeming sketchy, kind of like I said at the beginning. Let me grab some water before the master side. Alright, master side, let's see what Snow White is doing. But that's what I thought. If the land of magic's going to leave them, then someone has to do it. If they really are proper magical girls, then I had to at least try it. I'm fine with being the bad guy because someone has to be." The girl was spitting and speaking feverishly, banging both fists on the table. The coffee cup tray on top of the table bounced and dark liquid splashed. "You understand, don't you, Snow White?" The white girl didn't move while she was sitting. She neither nodded, shook her head, nor opened her mouth. She only stared at the café au lait waving inside the cup. The cheap pipe chair and desk didn't match, nor did it harmonize with the white magical girl's costume. "But you should understand, Snow White. You didn't kill anyone, and you passed that test, so you buried her plans. The land of magic demands you release the magical girls," says Snow White. Oh, we're getting a picture now. Snow White talking to cute glasses Master San. "Hello, cute glasses Master San. You're evil and are causing people to die, but you're cute." The white magical girl's line of sight moved from the café au lait to the girl. She was staring at her with sharp, cold eyes, but the girl simply smiled. "But of course, with just a few conditions if you don't mind." "And what are those conditions?" "A drastic reformation of the magical girl selection tests. That reform must be retroactive. We'll trace back to identify the problems with these tests, and we remove the qualifications of previous magical girls that don't pass it. If you claimed your opinions to these in the past, I won't compromise or concede, you know. I won't change my opinion. If it doesn't go through, then there's no reason for releasing these children. Then it's non-negotiable. Magical girls are an existence that was chosen by God. Just a little bit of impurity shouldn't be allowed." The girl smiled, and the white magical girl stared at that smile. For a few moments neither of them spoke, and the white magical girl stood up silently. She slid the pipe chair and turned her back to the other girl. The girl's magical phone on the desk flashed on. "Snow White, there's no time, Pone. 6 people have already died, Pone. You need to be fast and—" The girl slammed her fist on the magical phone, turning off the power. At the same time, the sharp synthetic voice heard from the magical phone disappeared. "I'll say this again, you understand, don't you? We'll continue our negotiations." The white magical girl spoke while her back was turned. "Like I said, I didn't kill anyone." "Huh?" The girl lifted her glasses with her index finger and distorted the edges of her lips. "I didn't kill anyone. Honest. Magical Daisy? That was an unfortunate accident. The others I've just gathered to play the game and started killing without permission." "Does this really look like a forced killing game?" "On the contrary, I said the rules that you had to cooperate, right? I gave them all the hints properly. I never scammed them one bit. If you're a good and wonderful magical girl, then you should be able to clear it. If you became a magical girl in the wrong way, then these children who never should have become magical girls in the first place are given a chance to restart their tests. I'm actually a generous and kind game master." Without answering her, the white magical girl placed her hand on the doorknob. The other girl spoke to her. "You're trying to hear the voice of my heart, aren't you? Maybe you're trying to find out my weakness. I don't think that's possible. I'm invincible here. I can do anything I want. Nothing will work. Here I'm God. Do you remember that girl in your test, Nemarine? My powers are just like her. As long as you're in this world, nothing can touch me. I have no weak points. That's why I have no distress in my heart." "She's invincible as long as she's in this world. That wasn't a lie or an exaggeration. She won't die even if she's killed here. You wouldn't even be able to kill her in the first place, and that girl could do anything. Actually, this is kind of like my own private space. I specially invited you, Snow White. I'd like to become friends with you." Even with that disappointing speech, the white magical girl gently left the room without replying, and closed the door. From the other side of the door, the light that shone became thinner and thinner. It disappeared. The girl was alone again, but continued talking. "I don't feel ashamed at all. I only say what I think is correct. I feel like this should really be the case. That's why I can expose my heart to you. If you see what's in my heart, then you understand, Snow White. Let's you and me cooperate, shall we? Because I and you, Snow White, are proper magical girls." So basically what I'm getting, they are all children of Clanberry. They said children in italics way too often for that to not be the case. and they all came from killing tests, and that's why she's putting them in this killing test that she's saying isn't a killing test, but it is sketchy and it is unfair. Snow White's trying to stop her, but she can't because she's invincible in that world. It was a good chapter. It was. I mean, I don't know what else to say. The dragon fight was amazing. There was a little bit of, not really boring, but a little bit of more dull character stuff, but hey, it's necessary. And then the stuff at the end was great. The stuff with Snow White and the Master was great. Still don't like the Master, still think she's evil, still think the game is evil, but I get where she's coming from with it, I guess. But apparently, I guess the way she talks, I guess maybe she went through Clanberry's tests as well, but made it through like Snow White did without killing anyone. And maybe that's why she thinks they're both proper magical girls. So yeah, it's like her goal isn't bad, but her way about going about it is terrible. So either way, computer is getting low on battery. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. We'll talk more in the Haku Q&A, of course. If you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of my reaction and all to it. Subscribe for more Magical Girl Raising Project and much, much more. Follow on Twitter if you want. I'll try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. Drop in the Discord as well. If you need a link, just ask me, and we can talk there as well. That's it. So thank you once again for watching. I'll see you all next time.